Okay, great. So first of all, thank you so much for coming and welcome on my session. A couple of words regarding introduction. Who am I? What am I doing for a living? Chop chop very quickly. And then we move to the pretty interesting subject, which is related to hardening Windows infrastructure. So my name is Paula J. And in Poland, I'm Paula Januszkiewicz. Everywhere else, I'm Paula J. And what am I doing? It's pretty much security. I have established a company which is called Secure. We get an office in New York, in Dubai, and in Warsaw. This is where I'm from. What am I doing personally? I'm the person that tries to match up two legs. One, which is my passion, which is clearly related to penetration testing. Another one, which is managing the company, which is also interesting, but if I have to be sincere, I really prefer the first leg. And I like to do my stuff and just leave the business alone and pretty much work on cool security-related issues. I get access to the source code of Windows, and this is something that helps me out to figure out with my team, which I never can forget about, all the interesting things that are happening in Windows. My sessions on the security side, I always double reviewed so that I don't say anything inappropriate. I try to, so hopefully it's going to be very appropriate this time. So thank you for coming once again. The session subject, what we're going to talk about. I see a couple of familiar faces, so I'm super happy to see you. Regarding the subject itself, well, if you are expecting really that hardening list, like, oh, configure this group policy, that group policy, you will not get it today. It's very boring, yes? It's enough go to any kind of browser and type in a browser top 10 things that you can do to your infrastructure or top 50 tips how to harden your infrastructure, and you can find that. Yes, this is boring. For me, you're going to get something else. Today, we're going to talk about the situations that whenever we are delivering penetration testing, we kind of think that these things could be done better. And we're going to talk about those. Yes, of course, we've got a fancy group policy settings. Yes, of course, we've got the firewall, this and that, and so on. Yes, but on the top of it, I would like to show you different kinds of scenarios and solutions that are helping out to make the infrastructure a little bit better. One more thing that is pretty interesting over here. I'm sure if you notice, if you've been on my sessions, that I'm using a lot of different kinds of tools. Our team is tool addict. We are writing the tools like a hell of a lot. And for this TED presentations, for every single one, this is my first one this week, but not first one, of course, on TED/Ignite. We have written about 30 different kinds of tools. So all of the tools you will be able to find in the place that I'm sharing them, and I'm going to, of course, present the link in the moment. So how does the whole agenda look like? First of all, we're going to be talking about the situations where we can do something better from the network perspective, and we're going to be talking about also situations where we can do better from the system perspective. Though it's not very pure difference in between those. First part of the session is going to be focusing on the network, another one on the system. Regarding the tools, pretty much where they are on our website, and you go to the tools area, and at the end of the week you're going to find all of the tools, or most of the tools that I will be talking about. Of course, it's a very important disclaimer. Every single tool that has the raccoon icon, you know what raccoon is, right? Yeah, how it looks like, everybody does. Perfect. So watch for that. That means that that tool is very dangerous. It's dangerous for you, not for everybody else. Okay? So just a small disclaimer. I don't want to be responsible for any kind of crashes. And I'm very serious about that. Okay. And the other tools, of course, if you will have some questions, just send me an email, and then I will be happy to speak and present how we are able to use different kinds of tools in the enterprise. Okay, guys. So, one more thing. Yeah, it's kind of nasty, isn't it? I mean, imagine this huge, furious monkeys getting to your car. So what's my point for this picture? The point of this picture is that we all, when we are securing our infrastructure, and I'm meeting with administrators and different kinds of guys that are dealing with hackers and all the security threats pretty much every day, completely understand one tiny thing. When there's a small hole, it's pretty much like in a car. When there's a small window open and one monkey get inside, she's going to call for friends. And it's pretty much the same situation in infrastructure. When there's a tiny thing, it's going to cause a lot of damage, and a lot of people will probably notice that, and yes, they're going to exploit that. So our job is very much difficult because we have to watch all the windows, all the things in a car, so that the monkey doesn't get through. It's in a hacker's world, it's very, very complex because there's a lot of different kinds of vulnerabilities being discovered every single day, and we have to be updated. Though, is it really about being updated? Well, not always. So let me continue. The security part covers one, and this is the first thing that we can pretty much do better. Monitoring DNS. Why am I saying this? Well, here comes the question actually to you, just to warm you up before we start the whole party. Whenever, of course, you receive an information in your firewall that there was some threat going on, obviously, something happened, what you see in your firewall, it's the IP address that someone was communicating to. Question is very simple maybe, how we are able to find out what stands behind this IP address. Bring it. Come on, guys. Reverse DNS. That's what I was waiting for. Exactly. But will really reverse DNS help us? Because who owns, what kind of information we are receiving from the ref DNS? Domain. Yes? We see the name. We put the IP address, we get the domain back. Okay. Who is managing the ref DNS entry? The hacker. Yes? So how can we be sure if the IP address, it's, for example, the positive or negative? We don't see that. We can only judge it, but obviously the ownership, and we can also judge it, but by whatever was coming out as the answer. So what do I mean by this? It's pretty much a simple thing. Let me show you. So I'm going to bring this console up. Very good. And let's do NS lookup as from the beginning. Of course, we've got some server over here. I'm going to specify server, one server, or maybe let's just do this, Microsoft.com. And we've got these answers, yes? So in order, and I know this is very easy, but I just want to show you where we are moving to. So when I do this, and I see microsoftproductionstudios.org, who says this? Microsoft says this. Microsoft says that whenever someone asks for that, because they are the owner of the domain, they should tell us that they are Microsoft Production Studios or whatever. So over here, we could have, for example, the bank name, or CNN.com, or whatever we want, because this is what hacker is impacting on. So what I would like to show you is one more thing. Of course, whenever we are getting access to that kind of information, do we trust it and how can we impact it? One more thing though. Let me, of course, set up the server. And in our case, this is actually the DNS server that I'm going to use. So it's 80.137 and then 194. Very good, yes. So this is actually the server in Poland. And the same story applies over here. If I do demo secure.us, I got, of course, some answer. I can do malware. And I get some answer too. If I take this buddy and I put it over here, I just get something like this. Could not find, query refused. Could be query refused, or it could be also some internet service provider. Yes? So nobody knows really where does it come from. It could be whatever hacker says. Okay, guys. So what I want to show you, let me also try one more thing. txt demo secure.us. Okay, perfect. That DNS has this very interesting vulnerability that whenever you do the zone transfer, you got the list of passwords. Just kidding. I just want to make you be a little bit more relaxed because you are like so focused right now. Okay, that was a joke, right? Okay, so let's move along. what I want to show you is the pretty much solution where you are able to record the history of the DNS. How are we going to do that? Well, at that particular point, I got the DNS, DNS ETW consumer, and this is one of the tools that we've got. And DNS ETW consumer, it's the maintainer of the history of what people were asking for. So let me pretty much show you. So this one, of course, let's start it. It's going to just run just like this. And I'm going to pick the client, and I'm going to ask from the client perspective for the domain name. And let's see how we're going to react, obviously, to that. So this one is just running. It's not very important what is happening in the back. But ipconfig, and then I'm going to do flush DNS so that you see that everything gets clean. So have a look. What are we going to do? Whenever I do NS lookup, of course, my DNS server, it's the one that is in the back. What I want to ask for, it's again malware, and then demo secure.us. And then I got the answer. So whenever I take this, of course, the question is, do I get the answer back? Paste. And as you see, previously, I couldn't get the answer back, but this time I do. Why? Because of maintaining the history. This is one of the ideas. What I'm trying to say is that if we, in our DNS servers, maintain the idea of keeping the history of what the clients were asking for, we will have no problems whenever something bad happens. We see the IP address and we're like, oh, let's check the ref. Ref belongs to a hacker. We will not get any information out of that. But if someone was asking for malware.org and he got the answer back and there is an IP address, the next stage of the communication, obviously, it's to communicate with this IP address. But how do we know that there was a query for whatever malware.org? We don't, because we have the communication by the IP address. Yes? So next thing, when we see some malicious traffic on this IP address, we are like, okay, rev, and then it tells you cnn.com. And you're like, oh, okay, that sounds okay. It doesn't. Because whenever we maintain the history, so we are like, is it possible to check what the people were asking for by the names in order to match the responses with the IP addresses later? Of course. And that is exactly what we are doing over here. So what I want to show you at that particular point, it's obviously the fact that we've got here, of course, some answer, and then we've got by the IP address answer back. Okay, guys, here comes the next part. Whenever we are thinking about that kind of resolution, the same story happens whenever we go to the firewall log. In the firewall log, in Windows Firewall especially, we've got something like this. How can you tell what is this IP address about? Or a couple of other addresses, what they are about? How can you tell that? Well, thing is that we cannot, because it's the same story that applies. What was this 83.144.7.6.4.2? What was that? Ref will not help us. So what we've written is another tool, and of course you will get all of the tools, that helps you to parse the firewall log against the history file. So if you maintain history somewhere on a side, this is the resolver for every single firewall log. So if you're wondering, was there a cryptolocker running on this machine? How can we tell which IP address it was using for the communication and what was the domain name? I want to know if this IP address is okay or not, so that I can block it later on a firewall. How can we tell? So what I want to show you, and it's the next stage, is how we're able to parse the log like that. So we've got the WF parser, and I'm going to, of course, parse the pfirewall.log against, and I'm going to save, of course, the whole test.txt, the whole result in the test.txt. It takes a small moment, yes? And what it does right now, it parses the whole log, it finds the IP addresses, and based on the history that DNS was working on, so this is the demonstration that I showed you, it will actually change me the file and replace all the unknown IP addresses with something that was clients asked before. You got any questions about that? It's clear? Are you sure? Okay, good. Good. So let's move forward. Yeah. So test.txt. What it did, I mean, here, as you can see, all the names are currently resolved, including, of course, different kinds of things, like here, malware demo secure.us. Why that was resolved? Because there was this one beautiful moment in the history that client actually asked for that. Firewall will do the same story for you. You're going to be like, oh, where this is coming from? Yes, Rev DNS. It's such a weak idea in a Rev DNS. Why we're not maintaining a history like this? So later on, you will have all the answers. Is this IP address okay? Should I block it later on the firewall or not? Yes? Okay. So whenever we are thinking about the next steps, sorry, this is not me. Okay. Whenever we are thinking about the next steps, question is, do we really sanitize our data? So what do I mean? Do you remember what was the shell shock about? The shell shock attack? Yes? The shell shock attack was, just to first, briefly summarize, it was pretty much the router vulnerability. And what was happening, if in a user agent you've sent an appropriate query to the router was interpreting it as if it was a code. Very clever, yes? Like, how can I send some information and tell the router to do something for me? Well, in user agent, it was a vulnerability. Did you know that Microsoft has also a bug like that? And did you know that it's not patched yet? They're going to kick me out one day. I hope not. But I asked if I can show things, and they told me yes. So what can I do? I'm very politically correct all the time. Okay, guys. So let's move along. Demo. So whenever we are thinking about the data sanitization, of course, at the beginning, here comes the question, what is the shell shock? And before we get to the subject, I would like to demonstrate you what's the problem. Yes, it's going to look very simple, but underneath it's very serious. I was actually very proud because our team, some other Belgium team, and some other guy from Russia, we have pretty much discovered that at the same time. So let's move along. Let's say Anna, whatever, and then cat. Yes. Very simple thing, yes? So we are setting the variable. Next thing, if we do set Anna, yes, we've got the content of the variable. Anna equals cat. Everybody knows what's going on, I'm sure. So here comes the next stage. Whenever we do echo, and then we specify Anna as the variable, we see the cat, not a secret. Yes, that's what we expected. Everything is fine by now. So next stage is that if we do set Anna, so I'm going to set the new variable, and I'm going to specify that Anna equals cat, and then I'm going to specify that I should also do ping localhost. What's going to happen is that I'm going to set Anna as a cat variable, and I'm going to ping the localhost. Yes, two things combined all together. Okay, so let's move forward. Next stage that I'm going to do is that I really don't want to ping anything. I want to have the special character so that ampersand, it's nothing but just a regular character. Yes? So I'm going to do this. Yes? And if I, simply speaking, do set Anna, I got that. Not a mystery. Here comes the issue. What if I do echo Anna? The code executes. Yes? The variable, it's not treated properly. That's what we mean by data sanitization. I use the escape character to change it, obviously, to the text. But operating system, it's not maintaining it. Do you know, I mean, I just show you the simplified example, but I'm moving forward. How dangerous is that? If we are echoing our scripts or results to the scripts of the scripts and so on in our infrastructure, if you use echo, and there's going to be some piece of code, it's going to execute if it's going to be streamed to echo. So how does it work in the practical implementation? So let me show you what does it mean. As simple as this, I got here one server running, and that particular server, it's pretty much just a regular server, nothing really special. It is an IIS. What I do have over here, it's the solution. We are doing the good things right now. It's pretty much the solution, inetpub, www-root. It's just like regular website. Sorry about that. I'm just going to delete it. And then we've got, no. Okay. And then we've got some agentos.txt. It's just a text file that is collecting the user agents. Yes? So you see my point right now. So it is exactly the shell shock that was presented as the vulnerability for the routers. Yes? What the administrator decided to do, because he is interested in the user agents, but because user agents are so long, he's sanitizing them, simply speaking, using, for example, log parser, and I'm going to do that, and he's just innocently, completely innocently streaming the result out. It's enough. So, anything like blogs, yes, any solutions like processing blogs, user agents, and so on, yes, that is affecting those. So let's have a look. Okay, so the whole background for the solution I got in here. And what I would like to show you, let me move forward, are these scripts. First of all, in agents, I got nothing. It's, as you see, task aborted, so not much really. And I got also analyze bad. And analyze bad, it's when we go edit, it's so simple, because for real, what it is just an echoing the content of the folder to a content of the file to just additional file, so of the variable to additional file. So as simple as this. Okay, next thing, I've got analyze user agents, and as simple as this is the whole solution, more than that. I've got, of course, the whole echo, I'm getting the user agents, and then I'm launching the log parser, where I'm, of course, parsing the results to agent.txt. As simple as this. I'm just, simply speaking, rewriting them. So log parser itself, if you are interested, it's also very simple. It's just a regular log parser that is analyzing the IIS logs, because that's where we can find the user agents, and it's simply speaking rewriting them. That's it. Yes? So how does it work? Let me show you. Okay, so this one we can put it out. And right now, so I got here a simple query. Let me open up the demonstration file. wget. I mean, completely not a big deal. I'm going to use wget for that. If I do wget to the server, I get 100, as you see, 100% result, error, 200 error code, which means everything is fine. Okay, so that was just a regular query. But now, what if I use my favorite type of passing the information, which in this case, it's the PowerShell encoded command. Whoever was on a precon, then I was showing the other option with the encoded command. What I'm doing right now, I'm setting the, simply speaking, variable with the double escape character, and I'm setting this as a user agent that's going to be interpreted, just parsed, stream out to echo. That's it. Yes? And encoded command, what is this encoded command about? Yes, if you are wondering. So encoded command and the whole beauty, let me take that, Control-C, and let me go to the PowerShell. And I'm gonna, this is the DQ, this is exactly this one, so let me start that. No, let me do this and do that. And this is the one that does one tiny thing, as you see. In the user agent, I'm specifying to execute the script. In this particular case, it's very simple. With netcut, I'm downloading it first. Yes? So invoke web request is actually very useful in the new PowerShell. I'm downloading the file, and then I'm taking the file, using it to connect back to the hacker as obviously started process. When that's going to happen? When I'm going to parse the logs. That's it. So let me show you how it works. As simple as this. So I'm going to take, of course, the whole request, this one, and I'm going to paste it here. Paste. But before I press enter, what I would like to do, I would like to be waiting. So let's do that. NC -L -P. So I'm going to listen on port 666. Yes? Let's do that. And at that particular point, enter. The request was fine. I'm just waiting for the scheduled task to parse the log. So that next time I'm going to run agentos.txt, I exactly know what kind of people from what kind of browsers were entering my web page. You know what's the beauty here? Nothing wrong is on the server. It's just echo thing, yes? But at the end, it's going to be quite deadly. Today I got also one more vulnerability to show you. It's also pretty deadly. This one is actually known, but statistically, based on what I see when I'm doing my old security work, a lot of servers remain untouched. So I just want to maybe motivate you a little bit on that. Yes, what we are waiting for right now is the connection to come back to us. So that means that IIS needs to buffer out the logs. That's the first thing. And second, I need to be able to interpret the whole solution. Okay, guys. So it's going to come, of course. It just takes a moment because IIS, there are two modes where IIS can run. One of the modes, of course, is to purely read the logs from ETW. And another one is that IIS needs to buffer them out to the file so that they are there, and then we are able to get the whole thing back. Yes? So it takes a moment. In the meantime, what we can see on the IIS level, on the node 2, if, of course, the logs are there, if it went through the logs, but it should already. So it should be all good. So let's see. In the meantime, inet pub, www-root, I'm sorry, that was in logs, of course, logs, log files, and here we've got a log file, and that is the one that we need. So we just need to be able to call it for action. Ah, here we go. We are there. It took a small moment this time. Host name, and as you see, right now, I'm on a server. Yes? Shell shock for Windows. I talked to Microsoft about that, and are they going to play with the variable and treat it as a text and so on? But let's see. I mean, where are we going to get with this? Whatever that means. Yes. Okay. Let's move forward. Maybe the next version. You know. Okay. Monitoring of the servers. Okay, guys. So, question is, do we know, like right now, what is going on our servers? So when you are sitting over here, do you know exactly what kind of processes are executing in your infrastructure? It's kind of hard to answer, yes? Yes, no? Question is, why really? One of my next sessions, actually the next session that I'm going to have today about the hidden talents from the user's perspective, shows one tiny thing. And this is pretty much what Symantec, one of the executives said last year, that the antivirus is dead. It was pretty brave statements because everybody was like, oh no, what's going to happen with our dollars? Don't say that. And he was like, yeah, antivirus is dead. Question to you is, do you remember Windows XP? Of course. That was which year when it was created? 2001. Pretty close. But 2002, 2001 doesn't really matter because when the kid was like this kid right now, it's 14 years old. That means this kid can program. That means this kid is writing a lot of different kinds of tools that our antivirus has no clue about. And I'm going to show you this on my next sessions, pretty much. We need to take care about the code execution, or not only prevent that, but also monitor if possible. And there is a solution that is very nice right now. There's actually a new version that came out. It's a Sysmon, and Sysmon by details 3.0. Sysmon is one of the tools that allow you to monitor the process create function in the server. So whenever there is a obviously process created, you're going to know exactly with what kind of details it was created. Very cool. We could be like, yeah, but what about the process tracking? Well, process tracking, it's a little bit more like process scrapping. It's not much information going on over there. Only but the process itself, and if in Windows 8.1 you make a tiny registry hack, it's going to show you the parameters. Oh, thank you so much. But what if my malware is executed by multiple processes, and it's a child process, and over here you've got like 15 other ones, and they're gone? Who started this body over here? How do we know? In Sysmon we do. That's the thing. And we have actually implemented Sysmon in a couple of customer sites. And the Sysmon is very lightweight. It's actually lighter than pretty much about the same, pretty much the same story about AppLocker. You know, of course, AppLocker, yes? It prevents code execution, prevents executables and other code from running. It's the same story, but it does not prevent. It just monitors, and it does it very well. So, how do we play with Sysmon? Let's move on. So Sysmon and Sysmon implementation, and in general the implementation of the monitoring of what's going on the servers, it's a pretty important thing. I would like to show you the solution itself. So let's move along. I'm going to start the console first, CMD, very good. And this is of course one of the tools that I'm sharing as well, Sysmon ETW events. So Sysmon, not the graphs, sorry, Sysmon ETW events, here we go. And we've got the Sysmon consumer. And version 2, consumer and log analyzer, there are two. Sysmon ETW events consumer is the one that allows us to monitor pretty much what is going on. Sysmon is just running, it's just a service plus the driver. So whatever process is pretty much executed, you're gonna know it. How do we know it? What this tool does? I mean, it's not very pretty right now. It monitors every single executable in operating system, that whenever there is something that is unknown or it looks not trustworthy, that it's going to warn you. Because Sysmon itself does not warn you. It just monitors very blindly, like everything that runs, I'm going to tell you, and I cannot really evaluate if it's good or not. Who can though? Where AppLocker can. That's the one thing. Second, you can. And you can build something on the top of Sysmon that's going to tell you if there is something wrong or something good. So how does the Sysmon work? Well, first of all, whenever we go to the event log, event viewer, the whole information about the log, it is in the application and services logs. Let me open it up. In the Microsoft, Windows, and then we've got, of course, our Sysmon. So let's see. Sysmon is here, yes? So all the stuff that is going on right now, so any kind of code execution, as you see, there are another new events available. I am executing different kinds of codes. So let me show you something interesting. Oh, here we go. Or maybe this one is more interesting. When there was this PowerShell that I showed you with the encoded command, whatever executes, as you see, this is the code, event code 1, you're going to see exactly that this is something that happened. What is better, you're going to see in the details of it the information about what is the parent process. So if there is a malware starting, you are able to trace it back to the bonds who really started this process. It's uber cool, especially in the current times when malware, it's a thing that we are all worried about, especially with this CryptoLocker case, who started this, where did it come from, and so on. This is very useful. So one more thing to show you. Though I can imagine you're going to be like, well, is this it? It's so boring. It's like, it's just a text. How am I supposed to interpret it? No worries, we wrote a tool for that. So what do we do? Well, first of all, and here, this is the live console. By the way, I'm using it for myself personally for one tiny thing. When I'm, for example, downloading some software and I'm firing it up in the virtual environment, I still want to know if it brings me something bad or not. I mean, in security, there's a lot of crappy different kinds of tools, and they are dangerous sometimes and so on. I want to test them all. Our team is also analyzing malware. I want to know exactly what is going on. Is there any like executable, like unpacked, another unpacked, another unpacked? I want to know all them all. So whenever you are thinking about monitoring yourself, when I'm working with things like this console is always running on one of the sides. And I'm launching the software, and I know exactly what's going on with that particular software. Yes? So you can use that also whenever you're going to be not sure in the virtual environment, obviously, when there is something wrong in this, with this executable or not. Just launch it in the virtual environment and then watch what's going on. So my small idea for that is as follows. Let me interrupt it. And as you see, by the way, it shows you, of course, all the connections. So whenever I'm thinking, let's break it, good, about interpreting the whole thing, Sysmon graphs. We've written a small tool, the Sysmon log analyzer, that allows you to analyze all the logs in Sysmon from your point where have you started operating system. So I'm going to analyze, of course, what is going on right now. So it's just going to give me and produce me the small PDF. It takes a small moment. And I'm going to take this PDF. Perfect. So there, we've got, of course, the PDF. So let me pretty much copy this from the virtual machine. And I'm going to show you how the interpretation looks like. So here we go. We've got, I'm just going to paste it over here. And this is the newly created PDF. And then let me open it. And then what it shows you is this beautiful graph. This beautiful graph shows you the dependency. I know it's very small, so let me enlarge it. It shows you the dependency in between all of the processes from the day 0 in the operating system. You see it's getting bigger, and we're going to get somewhere to the middle. Yes, and that is pretty much, here we go, where the operating system is starting. From the single moment the operating system starts. Yes? So if there is some dependency, like we had at the very beginning of the file, you're going to see exactly what happened. So I got, of course, winlogon client server runtime subsystem, winlogon starts logon UI. This is this field where you put your password, yes? And then we've got explorer.exe. Obviously, it's your session because I logged on. And here I do have, for example, cmd.exe. This is what I've opened. And I opened Sysmon log analyzer and system etw events consumer just a second ago. And out of that, of course, you are able to see what was going on by the whole tree. Yes? Is it interesting? Yeah. Good, thank you. Okay, so Sysmon implementation in an operating system makes so much sense. It's very lightweight, as I say. It's developed continuously. From the last year, there is a third version already, as I've mentioned. It's very much on board. Right now, Sysmon 3, I mean, don't get me wrong, I almost fall in love with this. Sysmon version 3 not only monitors the network connectivity of the process, so if there is a process communicating with the network, you're going to get the IP address of that communication. If you maintain the DNS history and so on, that's perfect. You're going to see exactly what kind of IP that's all about. Plus, you're going to also see things like remote threat, techniques that are commonly used by malware. It's a new in version 3. And in a version 2, what was improved, it was the process termination. Because how can you tell that this process is no longer alive? Well, you can see that, but will it really be like that? Tomorrow on my memory session, I will show you the process hiding and how we are able to find them. Because what you see on the list is not what you have. So how do we know that? So in here, you're going to know. You're going to know exactly what kind of processes have started, even the hidden ones. because process is a process. So, okay guys, very good. So next thing that I would like to pretty much talk about is the checks of the environments that are in a pretty much danger zone. And that is apparently, that is related obviously to the web servers. Web servers should be monitored very, very much because these are the guys that are on the edge and these are the guys that are attacked. Question is, if I do attack the web server, and that is what we see statistically within our projects, very often I'm able to run my code on it. Yes, you could have an antivirus, have it, great, that's for security, right? But if I bring my tools, I can do whatever I want, yes? So process execution on that kind of environment should be definitely monitored, if not whitelisted. So we've got a solution like AppLocker, yes? If hacker brings the tool, what he can do. So in this particular case, one of the good hacking tools is the PowerShell. We are discussing this also on Precon as well. The PowerShell, it's a hacking tool. That depends which hands we put it on, yes? And what is best from PowerShell is that it can run because it comes from Microsoft. So should PowerShell be enabled on the web server? Why not implementing AppLocker on the solutions like this? It's a known solution. It's like, oh, I don't know, maybe it's going to block something that I don't know. That's the point. So whenever we are thinking about implementation, of course, of that, I want to show you one more motivation why it makes sense to play with AppLocker or any SRPs like this. Okay, guys, so let's move, of course, to the demo environment. Very good. So, perfect. And in this particular case, what I would like to show you is the one tiny vulnerability. That particular vulnerability, it was called Hurricane Panda. Hurricane, like a weather, panda, like this cute tiny animal, yes? So who puts the name like that, by the way? But it doesn't matter. So whenever we are thinking about that, of course, that is and was so dangerous in the whole idea of how things are processed on the server. The vulnerability itself, it's actually in win32k.sys. And that vulnerability is already patched. It was issued on 14th of October last year. But the reason why I'm showing this is because this was one of the most serious vulnerabilities in 2014. Plus, I still see servers that are not patched after that time. So if you are patching your servers, good for you. Still, code execution is a problem. If you are not, then that is pretty much one of the things that can happen. So let's have a look. I got here two applications on the IIS. One is called Panda, another one is called Converter. The reason why I divided the demo into two applications is to make it clear. So I will show you step by step how everything works. So have a look, application pool identity. What kind of identity is that? Well, to be able to show you, I will show you one tiny thing. If I go to the process hacker, and if I start, let's say, could be Panda, I'm going to manage application browse. Converter I will need as well, so I can start that one too. Converter, manage application, or browse. Okay? So what I need here, it's the, of course, Panda user. Yes? So whenever we have a look in here, that is the worker process running as an applications pool identity, which is Panda. What kind of privileges this account has? Very limited. What exactly? Yes, what does it mean? Can this account create users in the operating system? No. Yes? Can this account change stuff in Windows directory? What do you think? No. Can this account elevate the local system? Shouldn't. Okay. So let's have a look. A very useful thing, by the way. I'm not doing, what I'm doing right now, it's not dangerous. It's run as this user. And I'm going to start as Panda cmd.exe. Question is, why don't I need to give a password? Well, in operating system, we've got a privilege that is giving you the possibility to get every single account that is logged on its token. So if you are administering pretty much terminal server, you are really the god of the server. You can take every single user and without knowing its password, impersonate into his session. Yes? This is normal in Windows. So here, as you see, I am Panda. Well, maybe I'm not Panda, but this is Panda. Here. And question is, what can I do? Net user, let's say, and then let's do ignite, password, add. So I'm adding the user, access is denied, not a surprise. Okay, let's move forward. So what I would like to show you is that, first of all, and the whole attack that it was related with Panda was related with malicious document with the macro that users were getting to their emails. So the typical phishing problem, and people are like, oh, okay, let me see. Yes, what is going on? In order to see this document, click this button. Yes, so user can enable macro because this is a setting that is stored in the user's profile. It's kind of nasty, I would say. But there is a very nice thing. I don't want to really deeply comment on that, but have a look and search that whenever WinWord, MS Word, it's loaded as a COM on the server, macro settings are completely ignored. Yay, yes. Okay, that's the positive news. Well, it depends who is looking. But have a look. There is, in one of the TechNet articles, there is a sentence. When you run it as COM and then you run it particularly as a local system, as a COM, then it's going to obviously execute as a local system. So any kind of doc to PDF converters, when you're going to find them on the website, don't do this because it's illegal. But if you want to convert your document with macro, and these guys did not update their servers, you're going to pretty much own the server. And the same story applies to the situations, of course, that are allowing to process a document like this. The whole exploit itself, whole vulnerability, I'm going to, of course, after the demo, extract it, and I'm going to show you what is the whole scenario about. So let's have a look. So what I'm going to do right now, in Docs, I got my document with macro. Before I pretty much do something about it, I'm going to open it, as you see. Macros have been disabled. This is my account. It's not the application's pool account, though. It's the same story. Enable content. Well, I don't want to do that, but I can go view macros, and then I can go edit. And what happens over here is a very simple thing. Have a look. I am just downloading some executable, and I'm renaming it, saving it in a very famous place that malware works on, so in a temp folder, and then I'm very much executing it. That's it. That's malicious macro. So what is the whole thing? What is the CQ dumper though? Well, CQ dumper, it's a small tool, small executable that contains the malicious code inside. But what I'm counting for is that this server is not patched, and I'm able to use MS, and in this case 2014 4113, because that's the vulnerability code on the server, and let's see if it's going to work or not. So let's, of course, in the converter, launch that. In order to show you that everything works, let me go to the C, Windows temp. I got here these files. I'm going to delete them. I don't need them anymore. Yes, I got these files. And if I launch that macro and convert it to the PDF, so convert, and that's what it's doing. Good. There is the PDF, of course, that I can download. I don't have the handler for that. Yes, so it's over here. Yes, so it was converted. That was expected, of course. No worries about that. But what I see underneath is that it downloaded my CQ dumper. So, question is, how can I execute it? And here comes the next part of the demonstration. Yes, that CQ dumper could be downloaded over there. I mean, applications pool identity, we are fine about that. It's not a vulnerability. But here comes the vulnerability. Can application pool identity elevate to the local system? Normally no, with the vulnerability, of course yes. So whenever we are thinking about the whole story, let me go to www.root and panda. I got this mimi.txt. I'm going to delete it right now so that you see everything is clean. Yes? This is another website, this one. The panda also works, let me show you so that we know the environment. Application pools, panda also works on its own identity. Actually, I have logged on and started the console as panda. And you saw that I cannot create a user, for example, in operating system. So it's a very limited account. So the point is that what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to launch the image as the applications pool identity. And what's going to happen, it's going to exploit the server underneath. The reason why I'm, as I said, divided into two parts so that it's clear. But what will happen normally is that user gets the macro, or you process convert the macro, you are the local system immediately. Yes? By the way, our developer, when he was writing this beautiful part of the website, it was like, what kind of graphic do you want me to put? Our developer is very not socializing, yes? And I'm like, I don't know, Michael, put something nice, yes? What do you mean something nice? Yes, I mean, damn, just put the panda. We're talking about pandas, so put panda. It's like, what kind of panda do you want? I'm like, whatever, pick whatever. So he picked this, yes? I'm like, seriously? This is what you think it's panda? I mean, probably he never came out from his developer room, yes? He never saw panda in his life. I know him, I know what I'm talking about, seriously.
He's the guy from Belgium.
He's the guy from Poland, actually. Yes, yes, yes. So, cqdumper.exe. Okay, guys, so now I'm going to start, of course, the whole process. And then here comes the big question, what do we see over here? So let me actually browse it from the website, because Mimi appeared. And mimi.txt, shows me the full output, beautifully done, from Mimikatz, including all of the passwords. The hackers, they don't have to connect back to you, obviously. You can just do this, and then you've got them all. If the administrator was logged on, you got it. Because the password is in the memory. Clip. Yes? So, questions? No. Let's move forward. My point for that was very simple. My point for that is that it's a web server, and anything that's going to happen is going to be, obviously, related with the code execution. Why don't we block the code on the web server? Why don't we block stuff like PowerShell? Why don't we block things like CMD or anything? You are the administrator. If you want to unblock it, go ahead and do that. But in the environment that is definitely a danger zone, nobody should be able to pass through that. And any kind of code, I mean, this will never work if there was a solution like an app blocker and so on. It was a 0-day, by the way, so it could work for a certain time. But, of course, if you patch, then it's great, but we are still not protected from the code execution. Okay, guys. So, whenever we are thinking about more solutions, one of the pretty much important things is the log centralization. And the reason why I'm saying this, it's because last year, have you seen maybe my CSI Windows session last year? Who did? Only a couple of you, like 5 people, okay, maybe 10 people, okay. Pity because there is, by the way, recording on the website, so have a look. Our team has worked out, we've been really working for like 6 months on that, the tool that is changing the EVTX files. So if you're a hacker, yes, you're like, all of my activities are locked over there. What you can do, you can take this file, change it. Obviously, the tool has the raccoon icon on it. Change it, and then you can delete all the events that you don't want. Yes? It took a little time because there's a lot of signatures, a lot of security, and so on, a lot. But my point is that, what if hacker does that? Well, obviously, we will not be able to find out all the information that happened. So are we centralizing our logs somewhere? Because even if you're a user, to be able to roll over the log, it's so easy. Remember, what is the size when the log rolls over? 65, exactly, 65 megabytes. What is the problem to generate such an amount of logs that is going to override the 65 megabytes, and then we've got everything is pretty, yes? So how do we do that? And that is actually a very simple activity. If you were thinking about overriding the event log, you need to find, obviously, what kind of stuff you would like to override. But how do we do that? Well, as simple as this. Let me bring that like this. I got over here the PowerShell script. That PowerShell script, or PowerShell, it's not even a script, it's just a one-liner, for I to 10, it could be not 10, but a million, or something like that. Get child item, creation time, get date. That's it. Or you create the event that you would like to float the whole log with. So what I'm able to do, simply speaking, I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to put it in a PowerShell, or just do that pretty much, run with PowerShell. And then what it does, it overwrites me the log. Question is, how do we see that? Well, as simple as this. This is how my sysmon log looks like. Here it is. I'm overriding the log with one single event. As you see, floated. What if I change all of the logs like this? Yes, as a user, of course I can. What's the problem with generating the command like that? So my point over here is that we should find out the ways how we are able to centralize our logs. Therefore, the solution actually here is very simple. I got the subscription created, and we all know that it's not the best solution ever. There are more managed solutions available in the market. I'm showing this just to give an idea. So we've got this sysmon log, and of course, in the properties, we can find the log definition. I am getting the log, the server that was just attacked, the log were floated, and so the node 2 in this particular case, and then I'm selecting different kinds of events. But the question is, what kind of? Well, here comes the bad thing. Sysmon, and I mean the whole window that you see right now, it's not designed to read the information automatically from what's going on in the, what kind of logs you've got in the operating system. So you have to define them manually. So if there is a sysmon log, for example, or a sysmon that you have installed, what you can do, and what you have to do, you have to define it manually as I did, as a XML. Because if you would like to specify the filter by just picking the log, it's not there. Yeah, so just a small tip. If you're going to be like, oh, where's my sysmon? I have it. No, you have to do this manually. Go to the XML and do this. And I'm right now gathering all of the logs. So floated, not floated, someone's going to give me 1 million events, I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get also the previous ones. Nothing is overwritten over here. Everything is gathered in one place. So whenever, of course, I go to the sysmon central, I got the whole information over here, and I am able to see forwarded events, all of the events that happened, including, of course, the flooding operation. So we're gonna find it somewhere here, yes, and it's refreshing after a certain time, and nothing over here will be pretty much overwritten because million even comes in, I got them. Another 10 comes in, I got them. Nothing is really rolling over here. So this is something that it's nice to have a look at. And of course, subscription itself, you can just retry to get the information out of that, and then of course it gives you a little bit more information about what was going on in that certain operating system. Okay guys, so whenever we are thinking about the flooding and so on, the next stuff that is very nice to discuss is the solution like Emmet. Do you use that, by the way? Who uses Emmet? Okay, so there is about like 20% of you. To the rest, just a tiny thing. Emmet, it's one of the solutions that support, of course, prevention from the different kinds of operating system exploits. When we've got a firewall, we've got antivirus, we've got an app blocker, this is one of the levels that is independent from the previous ones that will prevent us, of course, from the malicious code to run. what is the point of Emmet? The point of Emmet, and I know a lot of different police organizations that are actually using Emmet all across all of the workstations and servers, is to prevent from the typical exploits that are happening in operating system, like for example heap spraying and a couple of other things, loading the library from the remote location and so on. So what I would like to show you, and that's going to be a very small demonstration, very short one actually, it's the situation where Emmet is going to pretty much prevent me from the very typical used by malware solution. So let me bring it, where we are loading the library from the remote location. So this is the tool. So if I'm going to inject, just launch it, then this is the external part of it. And that is something that is going to, of course, be blocked whenever we are playing with Emmet. So in Emmet GUI, we're able to specify that the load library, so I'm going to go to applications right now. Let's go there. That the load library functionality, I'm just going to double click on it, should be enabled. So as you see, load library protection. I'm going to turn it on. Let me do that. Very good. And then whenever someone tries to load the library from the location like this, I am informed, and as you see in the right bottom corner, that there is a load lib that happened. And anything like that, this kind of illegal situations, whenever someone tries to write directly something in the memory, it's going to be mitigated. And none of the, obviously, firewall, antiviruses, app blockers, or anything like this will be able to prevent that kind of stuff to happen. Just one tool to add on the top. The thing of Emmet is that in the past version, it wasn't perfect, yes, because it was blocking different kinds of applications. It caused a bunch of applications to crash and so on. But I know that Emmet is developed and there's a bunch of guys working on it. So have a look at this solution because it's going to come into, and right now it's actually pretty nice level, and it's going to be, one day it's going to help us, and is already helping us now in a very significant way. Okay, guys. The next part that I've got for you is pretty much the malicious file review. And that is actually one of my, what's that? Okay, this one, sorry. One of my favorite things to play with, because question is, whenever we are thinking about analyzing the files, so user receives the file in your company through an email, and that is the malicious PDF. How do we check if this PDF is malicious or not? And that's always the questions that we get from our customers. Seriously. How do you verify that there is something wrong in the PDF? That there is a JavaScript or something? How do we know that? Until we obviously open it. How do we know, and that's another thing, that there is a malicious macro in a Word document? We could be like, yeah, in the new Office, it changes an extension to docm. Correct? But what about the doc? Doc is the problem, because doc is the binary file. And if you want to check if there is a macro inside, you simply have to run it. Do we? So what I would like to show you is the practical way of reviewing the malicious files, right? So next time your users will get the PDFs like this, you are like, wait a second, before you open it, I'm going to verify it. Okay, good to go, you can open it right now. Yes? So how do we check for that? Okay, guys, so how does the whole demonstration look like? So what I'm going to do, let me switch again to my machines. Very good. Let me bring this. Yes. So first of all, the question is, of course, is how does, of course, this PDF look like? Yes, because what can we expect? Where in the PDF, we've got, simply speaking, the malicious JavaScript, and that is something that we are pretty much looking for. So how does the whole demonstration look like? At the very beginning, I'm going to show you the PDF, then I'm going to show you the Office documents. So in the PDF, pretty much, we have to use Python. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there are a lot of different kinds of tools, that are available, but Python solutions are the best. Though not everybody likes Python, I can imagine, yes? To set up Python is already a pain in the back, but if you download the 32-bit Python, you are good to go, and you of course need an appropriate tool for that. So the tool that I'm going to use here is the script that is called pdfind. You can find it in the DDIR scripts area. It's the open source scripts for the analysis of the malicious PDFs. And that particular PDF, I'm going to, of course, run it against the secret PDF that I've got over here. What it does, it analyzes the header of the document. As simple as this. If you want to answer yourself a question, is there any kind of malicious JavaScript? Answer is no. You can safely open this particular PDF. Yes? Very useful thing. But if you are like, if you're going to find information that yes, you want to know what kind of. And how can we check for that? So let's have a look. So what we're going to use is the PDF parser. It's also part of the suite. And in the PDF parser, you can analyze the whole situation by specifying, of course, the file that we've got over here. So I got here, just to show you, the CVE. This is actually the vulnerability that it's marked as 2013-0640. And over there, when the user opened that PDF, it was one of the remote code execution issues. So pretty dangerous. I'm sure you know the Adobe thing, that all the time they're updating their software, and that's because there's a lot of malicious stuff that comes in within the PDF. Are you guys still with me? Yes? Okay, good, good. So let's of course move on. PDF parser. I'm going to run, of course, against that particular file, and then I'm going to search for JavaScript. Yep. And what it's going to show me is a small header. So it's a PDF structure that is pretty interesting over here, because I need to specify the area of the file, and in this case, it's going to be this one, where I will be able to see information about the script itself. So to be able to relate to the area of the file, you need to specify, of course, -o, there is a parameter, and then you specify the place in the document, and then -f, of course, to be able to refer and display the whole content. So let me do that. And what is this right now? It's the whole stuff that was in this malicious PDF. And now when you see stuff like that, does it look trustworthy to you? Probably not, yes? Absolutely not. And then you can verify, say, a user, sorry, but this PDF is just malicious. Yes? Don't open it. So this is one of the analyses that we can do. One more thing to show you, yes? Something useful on the top. Yes, so CLS, just to clean up the console, one more time. Here, I got different kinds of docm's, as you see. So what I'm going to do, as simple as this, in case of docm, if we are about pretty much analyzing the macro, docm, it's very simple, yes? Let me go to the GUI, maybe, and then show you the whole stuff. It's going to be a little bit more comfortable. Docs. Perfect. As simple as this. We've got docm, so we've got this, and we can pretty much, so I'm going to copy here, change it, here we go, to the zip, yes? And you know the trick, I'm sure, but this is just an introduction. And over here, you can browse through all of the stuff, and if you're going to see something like VBS data, yes, it means there is probably some danger in it, because that is what defines as a macro, yes? And you can open it up and verify, of course, what is inside. But if there is any macro like that, you can export it like this. If you want to delete it, just get rid of it. Rename it, open. It's going to tell you that there is a problem with the document. It tried to recover it and it managed. And you're going to open a document without the macro. Yes, this is easy, okay? But now, let's go to the practical stuff. So what I'm going to do, let me go to the Office Tools. And in Office Tools, there is, of course, Office Mal Scanner. It's one of the available tools that you can download from the internet. It's a free tool, yes? And that is something that allows to analyze doc-m. It's not a big deal, but I'm talking about the doc, where we don't have any extension. It's a binary file. Macro is there. How do we know? Well, analyzing. So in this particular case, what it's going to create, perfect. What it's going to create is going to create the folder where it's going to extract the macros. There is a folder like this. Let me quickly delete that. So demo 1 and so on. So demo 1 so that we see, okay, perfect. CD, perfect. Congratulations, Paula. Del, yes, I do. Yes, very good. That's so much better. Office Mal Scanner. And I'm going to specify C docs. And then I'm going to specify, of course, our demo 1 doc. So this one, it contains the macro. And I'm going to type info to get more information about the file itself. So enter. And what it does, opening file, as you see, what it does, it scans me the file, yes? And then after scanning the file, it's going to extract the macro out of that so that I can take it and explicitly look at that and see, in this doc, there was this macro. Before the user opens it, in the cryptologer times, it's very useful. That is something that is going to help us to see a little bit more. Let me go to new macros. New macros. No. Oh, yeah, sorry. Notepad. New macros. And then what opens is new macros. That clearly shows me that there is a macro in this beautiful form exported. Yes? Is this something useful? Yes. Okay, good. Happy to hear. Okay, guys. So this is pretty much what we've got. One more thing to mention on the top of it. There is, of course, there are many tools like this, if you are interested. One of the tools, let me do there, it's called OffVis. OffVis. OffVis just tells you if there is a macro or not, like this. Yes, and then you are able also to have a look at its details. Yes, have a look at this tool. It's additional one. It's not that interesting as the one that I showed, Office Mal Scanner. Just one of the options. Okay, guys. The next thing, of course, to play with whenever we are thinking about the whole server security and so on. Let me continue. Is the situation where we've got malware that is communicating from the inside to the outside. You know, my husband, it's a very innocent guy. I mean, he's very calm. You will never see he's a bad guy. He used to be. He was one of the famous Polish hackers, Sicily, when there was a times that you could do the bad things and nobody really, like a police organizations, nobody really called you like, hey, you did this, you're going to go to prison. No, it was for everybody, it was more like fun. Yes, now it's serious. So he's coming from those times. He's a little bit older than I am. And what was his favorite attack, and that is a very nice and working attack, it's the reverse TCP approach. So you make person to run something for you, and then this person connects back to you, and then firewall, it's completely not a danger unless you've got some filtering proxy implemented and that kind of solutions. So what I would like to show you, it's a very nice idea of implementation of the firewall. I'm going to be speaking this week more about that. And that particular implementation, let me bring it up. Here we go. Is a, not this machine, but the other one. Oh, here we go. This one. Yes. Is presenting us how we can stop software from communicating from the inside to go to the outside with a very simple means. And that's my goal to show you. If you got a filtering proxy, good for you, of course. But if you don't, then it would be great to implement something that we already have, but in a little bit more geekier way. This control and command panel, it's something that malware left behind. And if I would like to obviously execute some commands on the machine, remotely I'm able to do that. So one of the things, just to show you the whole idea, I'm going to, at that particular point, execute, of course, the whole command. So how does it work? Well, first of all, let me bring it. Here we go. Sorry about that. Small confusion. Here we go. So how do we execute the commands? Well, it has its own interface. So I'm going to type rcmd.exe. So I want to execute cmd.exe with the parameter /c. Who am I? And I'm going to stream it to C and then ignite.txt on the user's desktop. Before I do that, I want to show you that there is obviously nothing on the user's desktop. User is the victim, and that's where the whole situation is related to. Here we go. And when we go to the C drive, of course, there is nothing like ignite. Yes, nothing like that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to, simply speaking, submit the query. Let's see. Hopefully, okay, now it's working. Very good. And we are waiting, perfect, for the client to get that. And as you see, there is an ignite.txt, simple control command server. Yes, but the question is, who is communicating from the client? And whoever is that, what we can do is to implement the firewall rules, firewall is on, of course, the firewall rules that will allow only certain types of traffic to go out. So we are always focusing on network, while firewall, especially Windows firewall, we can browse the website, no problem, especially Windows firewall, it's something that allows us to control the processes, not only the IP addresses and ports. So what I'm going to do, I got here these 3 rules. And as simple as this, I will show you the sample, programs and services. I am allowing just explore.exe to communicate. That's it. And a couple of other processes, of course. But what is the next thing? Everything that wants to communicate in the local subnet, go ahead. Yes? Communicate with, for example, certain hosts. So don't forget about that kind of functionalities in the Windows firewall. So what we can do, it's simply speaking, in the firewall rules, I'm going to go to the firewall properties, and then domain profile, I'm going to block the outbound connections. And what I'm allowing for are only the connections that are, defined over here. So these are these ones. So now question is, can I do the same story? So rcmd.exe, and then, of course, I need to specify parameter C, who am I, streaming to C, ignite1.txt. Submit query. Submit query. And I can be listening. This control command server will keep the control on the screen when the traffic does not come through, obviously. And in this particular case, in the server, in the client, if I want to browse the network, yes, or any kind of internal surroundings, I'm capable to do so. Of course, it's a lot of work, but on the other hand, it's not that difficult to identify the solutions and the processes in operating system that are communicating with the network. So have the list like that. Okay, guys. So whenever we are thinking about the whole summary, yes, first of all, acting proactively, it's the key to solution. Yes, Sysmon, AppLocker, solutions like that. That's something that very much makes sense, especially in the server environment. If you don't want to get AppLocker, at least get Sysmon. Yes, and know what's going on. If you don't know what kind of processes are executing in your server, that is pretty much the answer. Centralization as one of the things. Configuring the firewall so that it passes through only the solutions that we want. That's another solution, yes? And the last thing that I'm going to talk about within my next sessions, which obviously I would like to invite you to, it's the security awareness campaign for employees. Because we can have the best security measures in the field, But if one user clicks on this malicious email and there is a cryptolocker or anything like that, then our servers will not prevent encryption on the user level like this. Okay, guys, so from the organization perspective, don't forget to get all the tools that we have discussed. And at the end, please come to my session. This is the whole agenda that is for today. And thank you so much for attending.